All right, hello. So I have Jenn Orlando with us today. Hi, Jenn.
Hi.
I'm excited for Jenn to share her story with you guys. So Jenn and I have known each other for many, many years because I had a brick and mortar gym years ago. So you remember the gym. That's how we first met,
That
correct?
is how we first met. I joined the gym and I took a lot of your kickboxing classes. But yeah, was at the gym a lot. I was there and it was like such a great experience to get to go and be part of that. But that's how we met. Yes.
So I love that. I mean, I opened my gym in 2008, but yet through all the years, even after that, we kind of stayed in touch through on Facebook. So
Yeah.
see, even if you're like, Facebook be damned, there's some really positive things about staying connected. So that's pretty cool that we got to, kind of stay in each other's lives. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then you started training with Barbara, who runs my studio. So you did that for a
Yes.
little while. And then I
Yep.
got to actually see you once in a while, like ships passing in the night, right?
Yes, I was coming, you were going, or it
Yeah.
was the other way around. But yes, we did get, and every so often it'd be so nice to catch up and
Yeah.
see how you were doing because I had always watched your Facebook content from afar. And so it was sometimes really cool to kind of catch you as you were like wrapping up a recording or you had maybe had a session and we knew you were there working. Because it was always so interesting to kind of see what you were working on, but I hadn't really at that point had the opportunity, or I don't think I was necessarily ready to really see what you were working on. That came a little bit later.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to be talking to you today because I think it's important for women who are in that point where they're like, okay, I'm kind of interested to heal my relationship with food. I kind of want to go there. I'm a little scared. I feel a little lost. It is very difficult for most women to even figure out who am I without having all these years of dieting, being on a diet or off a diet. It's so much in our identity, right? So I would love for you to share a bit with whoever is watching this video, what that was like for you during that time, and then the point leading up to what really intrigued you about saying yes to like, okay, I really want to listen closer to what Dana's saying, and that this program she's running, I think this is going to work for me. So can you share
Totally.
a little bit about that?
So absolutely. So my relationship with food and dieting, I'd like to think of it as unique and complex, but I don't really think it is. I think it's actually the like kind of every woman's story of, raised during a time where like, my parents, my mom especially was a dieter. And never, it was never forced down my throat. It wasn't like that kind of toxic environment, but it was always there, right? And then you were always idolizing, the girls in the magazines or what people looked like. And then of course, you go through these phases in your life where, you're getting married, so you want to lose weight, or you've had a baby, so you want to lose weight. So there was always this like element of dieting and diet culture and trying to be smaller and trying to be, fit what I thought society really was looking for women like into my life. And I tried every approach out there from, Weight Watchers and other types of weight loss programs to, when it became very popular, then to do them online. That was, I was there for the advent of that. So you join the programs online to do that. And then obviously, going to the brick and mortar locations, you did that. Plus every diet program that was in every magazine, you tried that, or somebody tried keto, or somebody, and I think like most chronic dieters, I had gotten up to one of my highest weights. And I thought, wow, I really can't continue doing this because I started to get scared for my health. And I was like, wow, I'm not a very big person. I'm only 5 foot tall. I weigh more than I've ever weighed in my life. What am I going to do? So I did what a lot of women in my situation would do. I turned to bariatric surgery. And I actually in 2013 had lap band surgery. And initially, I lost a lot of weight. I felt really good. I thought this was like the key to success was obviously, having a tool to help me restrict food. And it was wonderful. But statistically, bariatric surgeries actually have a very low success rate in people who are only moderately overweight as opposed to morbidly obese. Those surgical tools were really, really meant for the very, very morbidly obese to be a tool to help them literally survive. It was never a tool for anyone to get socially acceptable skinny. And so with that being said, I gained weight, which was still putting me well under the threshold of this like dangerous weight gain, but I thought I'd failed. So once again, just like with the diets and with everything else, I thought that this was because I didn't have the self-control, because I wasn't doing it right. This kind of went on, and I gained and I lost and I was up and down. And this is when I started training with Barbara, and I had a much better perspective on how to take care of my body, when building muscle mass, how that really helps the overall infrastructure of who I am, both physically and mentally. It was kind of the gateway into real healing, because then I was able to get some exposure to some of your programs secondhand. So Barbara would share what you were working on in her program. And then your Facebook content was really kind of surfaced, because now you're people I know and programs I know. So I'm starting to follow this. And then obviously COVID was its own catastrophe. That all happened. But at the same time, like everyone else, I dealt with the stress, and I ate my way through that stress and gained a lot of weight again, and thought, I'm going to have surgery. Now I'm going to revise out of this lap band. I'm going to get rid of this thing in my body. I'm going to have sleeve surgery. I'm going to get it fixed. And I had that surgery. And as I was recovering from that surgery, I happened to catch one of your posts that was talking about cleaning out closets. And I saw it. And then like the next day in my feed, I'm scrolling through, and somebody was talking about how they cleaned out a pantry or cleaned off their desk. And I was like, what in the heck is Dana doing? And I'm like, what is she doing? And I was so intrigued by this, like working on your mind body with cleaning out your closet, that I was like, okay, all right, now I'm really curious. And I was really kind of like in a very strange emotional place, recovering from my sleeve surgery, from my revision surgery, because to no surprise to anyone, it wasn't the magic bullet I thought it was going to be. While I felt much better because I no longer had the lap band, around my stomach, it did, just like any other program. It wasn't like the end all be all. But you were cleaning closets, and I wanted to know what that was about. So I reached out and I said, okay, all right, explain this to me. So I think that's kind of the long story and how I got there, but ultimately it's because you were cleaning closets. So that was
a totally different approach, right? It's
very,
like,
very,
oh God, how refreshing, so now, so Jenn decided to say yes and joined my mentorship program. And here we are. So that was in June.
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're filming this video now in September. So we have June, July, August, September. So 4 months into the program, and you are on module 9, and we have 12 modules altogether. So first of all, the modules are all self-paced, right? So even though I took it once a week, Jenn, we actually did talk about this earlier in the work, right? You were like, I'm just going to rip through it. And then you realized, hold up, what am I doing? Let me slow down. Let me go back and actually rewatch and redo. So what am I racing towards? Right? It's like,
well, that's it. That's it. So it's hard. It's really hard to shake that diet mentality of, if I just follow the rules, and as I'm getting exposed to new content, adopting that content into my program, that's what's going to make me the success. But that's not what does it at all. It really takes understanding why you start so far away from talking about dieting and dieting rules and your body, and you're really focusing on the mental aspect of it, which is very interesting, because for both of my bariatric surgeries, I was required to do a psych evaluation to make sure that I was healthy and of sound mind and was really making clear decisions and didn't live in disordered eating, which is such a joke, because the surgeries themselves are a surgical version in some ways of a disordered eating concept. And, you can pass those assessments very, very quickly, because they're asking you questions. Have you ever tried to hurt yourself? Are you depressed? Have you ever withheld food or binged food? What's your relationship generally with food? And they're looking for these innocuous answers to check the box, to move you to the next health professional, to clear them so they can get you a surgical date. Because at the end of the day, just like Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and all of those other programs, this is about making a private business money. So these doctors, while they're doing wonderful work for so many people, and let me tell you, there's a lot of wonderful success stories with bariatric surgery. At the end of the day, there was a lot of candidates moving through their programs, and I'm going to say myself included, that was never really the ideal candidate. But because my insurance company said that my BMI was in the right range because I'm short, I got to go do this. So the difference was when we started really pulling the pieces apart in the modules, it said, let's go back to something safe. Let's go back to something easy. Let's go back to something you're familiar with. Let's go back to your home. What are you surrounding yourself with? What kind of space are you in? Are you in a space that's cluttered and prevents you from thinking about what you're doing? Do you need more room to breathe? Do you feel like you're in a productive space to open yourself up to learning? And that's where you started. You started with the environment we were in. And that was such a change. That was such a change because usually these programs bring you to their place. Get in my environment and my mindset, not yours. I don't know if you're ready, but I know you have a credit card. You were like, no, I want to get in your space. Are you good in your space? That was a game changer, Dana.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared that insight because I really don't want women to think that this program is like, oh, great, now I'm just going to now I'm following Dana's rules. That's not what this program is. It's very self-guided. I just give you the prompts for you to discover yourself and starting with your own environment and asking you proper questions. Like I always say, you ask better questions, you get better answers. Yep. So I'm asking questions of you, and I may share some of my stories about how I may answer a question for myself and how I ended up working through. And under the modules, you can read how all the other women answer. And there's a lot of, insights and things like that within the group. So I'm glad you touched on that because I think that's really important. I really don't want any woman to be going from program to program thinking I need to fit myself into her idea or this idea or his idea. And that's not what this is. This is an unlayering, and you're discovering yourself through this process.
Yes, it's a lot of self-exploratory work. And it very much, and I will very comfortable saying, I also see a private therapist for myself, and I've done career coaching. So I've reached out to experts in their fields to say, okay, how do I learn from the space I'm in? How do I do, how do I get to the next step? And I find there's a lot of parallels of being, self-reflective, that you have to do the work. If anyone's thinking this program is Dana giving you a list of exercises and foods to eat, that's not what you're getting here. What you're getting is the opportunity to open yourself up and go back to the beginning and understand why you have certain beliefs about things, who set the rules up for your life, how you can change your story with your own narrative and really learn to reinforce that narrative the same way that your views on dieting and food and exercise have been reinforced in your life up to date. You're in control of what you consume, content-wise, people around you, yes, food, yes, activities, but you're in control of all of it. And that's probably the biggest difference between what you get when you're in a program like a Weight Watchers or something else, where they're telling you what to consume, and what we do here. You're giving us the opportunity to decide what's acceptable for us and how to change it in the future as we change. And that's a big responsibility that I think a lot of people don't realize they really have the autonomy to control.
Mm-hmm.
I know I didn't.
Yeah, and that can be really scary, right? So that's why I really want, especially on the front end of it. Now, you and I have the history of knowing each other, and there was a certain level of trust there. You're kind of like, okay, well, I'm kind of following what Dana's doing. So you could trust that I would, take good care of you, that you were definitely in a safe space and that I wouldn't lead you astray. Right. I want the best for you. I want the best for all of my clients. My agenda is that you feel confident in yourself and you find your own way. That's my agenda. That's my.
And what's wonderful is that it's, yes, I do trust you, like implicitly, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't do this program. I wouldn't believe in what you're doing. But what's even better is that I got to meet a group of women that I didn't know. I didn't know any of them. And that same level of trust exists in that group too. making it very easy to come in on day one and really just start sharing or listening and not sharing on day one. You know, it's great because you really have the freedom to participate in a way that makes you feel comfortable, and everyone there is just as warm and welcoming.
Oh, thank you so much for adding that, because I think that's also part of that fear of like, oh my God, am I going to fit in? Are there other women who are really like me?
Yes.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Yes.
Because, and it is such an interesting dynamic because, and I can't quite explain how I've created the magic. Like, I don't know, these women just come together and I haven't had to set down any rules. It's nothing like that. Everyone just participates in a way that it's like I'm emotionally responsible. I'm sharing. I'm also reciprocating, right? There's times that you will also share and give somebody else some perspective or support. So it's both where you're talking because you want to share something, but it's also that, oh, I'm listening to what somebody else has to say. And I would love to step in and encourage them.
Yes, I will say 100% because of the group engagement, it's what caused me to slow down. Somebody else had to take a couple of weeks to work through a module. And I didn't even occur to me that I could do that because you release new content every week. So that was it. I was going to move through the program and go to the new content, but I didn't need to. You know, sometimes it takes a time to digest what you've just uncovered about yourself. And sometimes you need to actually go back a module and rework that so that you have a better perspective on the module that you're working in now. It's not linear work. It helps that these things build on each other, but there's no obligation for you to have to go in those steps. You can sit and think about what you're working on, because at the end of the day, you're trying to, you know, I'm 40 years old. I have 40 years of diet culture and you know, messaging about my body and messaging about women's bodies and messaging about, you know, what successful looks like, what a good mom looks like, what a good employee looks like, what a good woman and a wife looks like. And at the end of the day, what I'm being told and what I see in the world around me weren't matching. Those were major, major conflicts. And I couldn't understand why I was still letting it really own so much of my narrative. And it really took breaking a lot of these pieces down and going back and re-breaking them down and accepting that things like food is food, right? Like I have to tell you that is such a hugely resonating point for me that it wasn't before. Before food was soothing, before food was a punishment, before food was, you know, an obligation, but it was never just food. And because of that, I never had a good relationship with it. So it's good, and it's good to also say it's a work in progress. I don't have it all figured out now. This is why you continue to come. This is why the program is as long as it is, because it takes a long time to undo those things, and you need the support of a strong leader and of a strong team to really help when you have those moments of like, you know, am I doing this right? Should I be doing something else? No, you just keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other.
And you keep showing up no matter what. Like, you know, it's like we will cry. There'll be tears on the call sometimes. Like, this is not like, oh, positive, like, oh, just put on your happy face. That is not what this is. It actually is helping understand, like, I feel sad. I recognize I'm angry. We start to identify those things. So that way we're not just burying them down and then using food, right? We'll use food to numb.
Well,
so
you don't want to stuff the food on top of the feelings. You want to feel the feelings and then go eat if you're hungry. You know, it's okay.
Yes, exactly. But what's so important here is that whether you join my group and, you know, you're in the mentorship with me and Jen and the other ladies, or you decide you are finding your own tribe, it is really, really important that you have a safe group that you can truly express how you're feeling and you can get the validation of it. Then no one's saying, oh, no, don't cry. Oh, you know, no, you shouldn't be angry about that. Why are you? No. In my group, it's bring all the feels. It's sometimes you're elated, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're working through things I don't quite understand. It's like, wow, this is an interest. I'm not used to feeling this way. I don't know what this is. Like, that's what we talk about, because the more we're able to talk about that in a safe space, the easier you'll be able to process it. And then the interesting thing that happens is that food becomes the non-issue. It's like, oh, looking back, like, oh, wow, I I didn't even use food like over the weekend that I would normally do this, or this. It starts to resolve over time. Yeah. So, well, Jenn, thank you so much for sharing your story. And so before we jump off here, do you have any last words or advice to any woman who's like on the fence, really wants to invest in themselves? Maybe they're afraid, there's a little apprehension. What would you say?
You know what? We spend so much of our lives investing in everyone else. We invest in our homes, we invest in our marriages, we invest in our children. We invest in our parents and our siblings. We make a lot of decisions, about what we do or our finances based on a lot of other opinions around us, and we're always kind of pushing out. But there comes a time where if you want to continue to be able to give to those important parts of your life, you have to reinvest in yourself. And I know for me, that was really the reason that I moved forward and did this, was that I needed to take the time, the hour to go through the module, and maybe the hour of work that came with it, and then the once a week calls. Like, I needed to start carving out time for myself to make myself what I really wanted to be. And I still have a lot of life to live, and I didn't want to live it with this unhealthy relationship with food. We all need food. You don't get to choose to not have food anymore. And I didn't want to continue living that way. And I have teenage daughters, and I didn't want them to continue seeing that. I wanted them to see me investing in me so that I could be the best version of me. So for anyone who's kind of on the fence, I want you to seriously think about not pedicures, not lunch with the girls, not a new purse, but when's the last time you really invested in yourself, where it was time for just you, for the benefit of you, that was going to be long lasting? And if you can't think of a time that you've done that, it's probably time to think about this program.
Oh, that was so wonderful. Thank you for sharing that bit, because that is such wise advice. Really wise advice. That does make the difference of when you're ready to do it. If it's like, oh, wow, I realize it's almost like I'm emotionally bankrupt. I'm not investing in me. Yes. Yeah.
We tend to starve ourselves before we'll starve the ones around us.
Yeah.
But then we obviously do it at our expense. So we don't want that. And you really can't keep giving unless you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Jenn.
You're welcome. Amazing. So much.
What an amazing story. So inspiring. And that it's only a few months into our work together. So we have like the whole rest of the time, which is so nice. It's like, oh, good. I feel like I have a place to land. Like she's not just going to leave me high and dry, but there's actually, even once you're done with the course and the modules, the program still continues. Yes. Because you're still involved in the group calls, you're still involved in, if you want to attend the breath work, or we have a masterclass once a month, or the book club, or however you want to participate in the group, you're able to continue that, because the power is, once you're done with the modules, you're not actually done with the work, right? We have to integrate.
No, the community still exists.
Yeah.
That's it. That's kind of your long-term takeaway, is you've got the modules, that's a tool, but you get the community and the people and the friendships and the mentorship, and that's amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Jenn. So if anyone has questions that you would prefer to direct to Jenn, is it cool if they reach out to you on like Facebook or message?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. I'd love that.
Yeah, especially like bariatric surgery, if that is your experience. I know Jenn and I talked before we actually hit record here. She's open to connecting with you if you would like, somebody else who could relate, or you want another perspective, or so she'd be more than happy to talk to you.
Sure.
So thanks for offering that. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So we both hope to be seeing you in the mentorship. And until then, have a great night.